Since that fateful evening when I ate chocolate, it wasn't the sugar that got me, it was caffeine, lack of sleep, threw off my schedule, burned the candle at both ends, and ended up it didn't take much for the infection to flare up. So I work so hard just to have one winning day, and they're rare. But when I drop the ball, it falls hard, and so it's been a whirlwind since then. And my life has there's a lot of there's so many different ways I can go and things I can do in my life, which is a nice way of saying there's so many things I have to do and so many ways I feel compelled I have to go that it's sometimes incredibly hard to know where to start. And sometimes you get off track just because you're so stressed that finally when you do get into something, that just working is less stressful than where you were, and you can kind of just coast a little too far that direction. Um, and also just trying to keep perspective when you're low on sleep and then your body's so inflamed and you're in pain. The pain is something that I don't think enough about, but I'm starting to address it again before I go to sleep. I don't like taking herbs or anything to help me sleep or for pain. I don't like that, but at the same time, sometimes you got to bite the bullet to get your to organize your hand so you stand a chance in the game. Um, the recurring theme spiritually right now is that our life is like a weaving, and every thread counts, and every thread is a little choice, and they make the strength of the fabric, and they make the design of what our life's going to look like. And it's one thread at a time, and a thread only has to break at one point before it's not really useful in that part of the pattern. So if we're going to compromise on a consistent basis, it doesn't really take much for us to end up with a fabric that rips and tears or paints a picture that we don't like, presents a picture that we don't like. So it's hard, it's crazy confrontational, that the capacity to mess stuff up is just so there's no margin for error at this point. Which is why I've consciously stepped back from social stuff, and I'm getting there. There's aspects of my character that are staying strong, which is great. I think the most important part is um, receiving the next little thing that God has for us. And for me, when I'm sick and it seems hopeless and it seems like, man, there is so many mountains that have to move in my life. I'm literally over my head in every aspect. I feel I'm definitely behind relationally, financially, and obviously with my health and many logistically organization. But I feel God showing me that I got up to go to McDonald's to get my 3 or 4 hamburger patties with mustard, lots of mustard, and I like that, and it nourishes me sometimes when I need it. But it was more of a reaction. I'm in a state of inflammation right now, and I have enough protein, and yeah, the fat in there is good, but I can have good fat. When I made the one little choice, you know what? My keys were there, but I left them there, and I said, all right, let's make that salad. So I'm putting the salad together, got a hot pepper, got lots of greens, lots of good stuff going on. Oh, my finances aren't going to be in order tomorrow morning. My the different appeals and the legal things and the medical relationships and all these hard things, they're not going to be a mile ahead tomorrow morning. And once in a while, things surface or the fruit shows up on the tree. But more often, it's just making sure that tree's watered, making sure it has sunlight. I'm listening to a podcast with this guy, Stephen Buhner, and he's arguably the world leading expert on Lyme, definitely with regards to healing with herbs. And one thing I found when I study Lyme is consistency is so key. If you want to beat infection, the number one thing, doesn't matter what kind of infection or where, the spine, the theme that runs through no matter what treatment you do, whether it's infrared light therapy or whether it's herbs or whether even if it's pharmaceuticals, right, is consistency. Consistency is so important. So I'm being refined and challenged and pushed in a way where I'm gonna die and it will not be pretty. When I say I'm gonna die, it sounds dramatic. It's not like I'm gonna wake up dead tomorrow morning, although, I give it about a week of not treating myself before my heart definitely, like, at least gets wonky again. Some pre-existing heart issues from mercury, but I mean, even if I coast 20% of the time, and it's not to say I can't relax or I won't have downtime, but I don't really have a choice of letting go of the reins as a way of operating, as a way of living. I'm not gonna make it. There will be one of these over me, but it won't be in the background. I'll be laying down in a 6-foot box. So, and it might be 2 years, and it might be 7 years, and it might be 14 years, heaven forbid. And in all honesty, if it was 14 years, it would be a gritty, rough, going in circles, 5 steps forward, 4 steps back, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 14 years. And it would not be nice. I mean, this is not a life to have. It's not enjoyable. But when we're faced with a fire that we cannot get out of, we have to stay cool. And so that's what it's doing for me. And I just want to share that encouragement, that one strand of decision is putting together, is being woven, whether we like it or not, into the fabric of the quilt of our life. And what will that quilt look like? How strong will it be? What will be the design in the picture on that quilt? And our relationships are, will that quilt be able to warm people? So yeah, I think that's the theme. And there's been a lot of little things happening that have been really cool. Coincidences, just kind of following from the less than a week ago, the spiritual session I had, which was all about that. There's been some really cool things. I don't really want to go into them. They're kind of personal. Some one involves other people, but it's really neat. And I feel like when we're in that spot is when these things pop up. And if we have gratitude when you go to McDonald's but you don't, and you're like, oh, but I don't have a bowl to put my salad in because I dropped the ball, and everything you need kind of falls into place because you're still and you're watching and you see it there and you receive it and you're grateful and you stay positive. That is living. That's living. Even if the world around you, you're not living the way you want, we can live the way we want from the inside out. We're loved unconditionally. It's always there. I think sometimes we're so used to having our back to the light that our skin, it doesn't really get changed by the light anymore. We gotta let the light shine all around us, and I definitely think that's the way. I have a lot of good thoughts that I've been receiving through this process, and the vision's coming together as well. So I'm very, very grateful for that. I dearly want the capacity to function, even just enough to just enough to see my dream, the dream, happen. And I know God knows that. Whatever you're going through, what is that strand? What is that thread? What's the next decision? What's that thing that you could compromise on today because you're so used to compromising on it? But instead you don't. You did something different. What is it?